Welcome to Greenshine Farms video blog about a family starting a farm and going back to the homestead lifestyle.
Thank you to Jamie Riddell for coming out here and getting some cool drone footage. Let us know in the comments down below how you guys like the new intro. Hey guys, welcome to Greenshine Farmers. This episode is just kind of catch you up with pretty much what's been going on the past month. As you know, we've had our second baby, Zev, and he's been awesome. We've also just had a bunch of projects. We've had a lot of family members come and visit us and help us with those projects, on top of just doing ever bigger orders. So it's been a pretty busy month. You know, we've had some ups and downs. We've had some cars break down, had to get them fixed. We ended up selling one car, buying another, and just trying to get used to life with two kids. So this episode, we're just gonna kind of go over all the projects that we've knocked out and kind of where we are on the farm. All right, so here we are. We knocked out one of our biggest projects yet, which was the irrigation system. So what we have here is a 2-inch mainline PVC, which connects to a valve and a timer, and then that connects to a 2-inch lay-flat hose as our sub-main, and then we have 5 lateral lines coming off of it with 4 risers on each. And we'll go more into this in a future episode, but for right now, that's what we got. Alright, so another thing that we've been up to is just trenching out the pathways. And the reason for this is we've just been losing a lot of crops due to all the rain we get here. I mean, we get really heavy rains. That's probably the biggest farming challenge about this area. And what'll happen is, you know, you can kind of see if it's just even like this, it'll just kind of run over the bed and wipe all the seeds off, and you just get, you know, really poor plant growth. So it's a big job, but we're really just trenching all of this and then either piling on an existing bed or taking it over to our other plot and building up those beds. So yeah, it's kind of a big job, but it's going to pay huge dividends down the line just when we get these you know, 10 days straight of rain like we have been. You can see we got near perfect germination up until right about here, and this is where kind of all the water would just come and just washed all of our seeds away, and so that was kind of the reason we dug out these trenches. Still needs. So this was another huge project, something we've been working on for almost a year now. We qualified for a well grant through the Soil and Water Conservation of Madison County, and they basically cover 75% of the cost, and so we were able to get this well dug. Now, we hit water at 240 feet, which is really good. We hit around 30 gallons a minute, and then we went an extra 60 feet to give us a little bit of a reservoir. We got, I think this is a 300-gallon tank and just a 3-horsepower pump. So this is going to be more than enough water and power to irrigate our entire fields. And this was really the last big piece missing before we can get GAP certified. Alright, so here we are in our pack shed. It looks a little bit different. We've got 2-inch foam board insulation all the way around. This was necessary to keep this shed from being 100 degrees during the day. Another thing we did, when I laid this laminate floor, I didn't know this, but I used the wrong, basically the wrong glue. And should have done more research on it. I just kind of used what the hardware store person told me to use, and it turned out to not be the right thing for this particular vinyl. So I had to pull it up and re-glue it and lay it flat, so now it doesn't come up. But yeah, I mean, it's a big improvement in here. And one more thing that we did is we swapped out the little window AC that we had in here, which was maybe about this big, with a 14,000 BTU AC, and this thing just cranks. So now on our packing days and our harvest days, we have no trouble keeping this this shed the right temperature. Alright, so here we are in our tow-behind refrigerated trailer. Well, it's not completely finished, but we got it to where it's good enough to use. And so basically I laid 5 inches of foam board insulation and then 1/2-inch plywood, and then we painted it with kind of like a acrylic, sort of like the type of paint that people use to coat garage floors. And we put in a 15,000 BTU AC unit along with a CoolBot. And it doesn't keep it, you know, it probably keeps it around 55 degrees on transport, which is actually perfect for what we do because everything is still in, you know, coolers and whatnot. But this just makes it so that I'm not stressing on delivery day. If it's hot out, I'm not worried about it because, you know, I can just leave this thing running and everything stays perfectly cool. Alright, so here we are in our greenhouse, and you saw the picture on our Instagram from before. Everything's really come a long way. We got these guys in a little bit later than I would have liked, but everything just absolutely exploded in here once we got into July. So the basil's done really well, the tomatoes are doing well. It's hard to get many tomatoes, at least the cherries, because Odin will come in here and pretty much just devour them. So we haven't had too many cherries to sell, but they'll start really going off in the next few weeks. One thing with the basil is we had more spots than we had basil, so I ended up cloning a lot of these plants, and it was actually pretty successful. So I've never actually cloned anything before, but it's kind of an interesting way to sort of expedite the whole process of planting things out versus trying to start more from seed. And we'll probably do an episode on that in the future. So this is our squash harvest. Not the best, you know. I put most of my focus on the greens, and stuff like squash kind of gets overlooked. We did some melons too for the first time, and they did okay. You know, I think they just got overtaken by weeds. If I was going to do it again, I'd probably put down some landscape fabric and just kind of let them really sprawl with a lot of space instead of trying to do them in our rows. So right now we're just going to let these sit in here and kind of cure a little bit more. This is kind of when the butternuts are going to take on their sweetness. And then, yeah, I mean, even though it wasn't a great crop, we won't have any to sell. This is still, you know, plenty of squash for us. This is in our second plot, and our goal for the second half of this year is to really get this plot up and just running. It's going to take a lot of work. It took a lot of work to get that plot to really produce. So, you know, just the soil here was pretty rough, and we've just had to work in a ton of compost, a ton of organic matter. And so right now we've got we just got some beans going in this row, which will help bring nitrogen to the soil, and then we've got some turnips here. And yeah, we're just going to keep planting this out. I don't have any irrigation over here yet, but we'll kind of worry about that as it comes. You know, we get a pretty good amount of rainfall, so. All right, so this is our newest innovation. It's just a fallen tree. We put it up here to give them somewhere to perch at night, and they love it. They kept getting out, getting into the barn, and I realized, you know, they were actually trying to perch kind of up here, or right here, or on top of their coop, and they're just really trying to get out of harm's way. You know, they like to sleep up high. It makes them feel safe. So this was about the easiest solution we could come up with, and they love it. They all kind of vie for those prime spots up there. And another thing we did was we actually put in a deer fence, which seems kind of crazy because I thought, you know, our other fence would just be able to contain them, but chickens are escape artists. So we put up this deer fence, and they definitely cannot fly over it. They still have found a few ways out, but for the most part, they're staying contained, and we're getting a lot more eggs now, so that's a good thing. So two very unexpectedly profitable crops for us this year has been mint and lemon balm. I kind of just grew it to maybe put in tea, but we've just been selling it in little blister packs, and people seem to love it. And yeah, I mean, it's a pretty versatile crop, and it really doesn't require hardly any maintenance. We just have them in 5-gallon pots, and I mean, they just produce. You can cut them all the way back, and next week they're just pretty much back to where they were. So definitely a great investment. And it's a cool thing about farming is you learn new things every year, and sometimes you plant out things that you think will be a hit and they're not, and sometimes you plant out things that unexpectedly are actually very profitable. Alright, so another unexpected surprise for us this year was our blackberries. Last year we maybe got 10. This year we've probably filled up at least 10 freezer bags full, on top of just eating them as fast as we can. They're absolutely delicious, probably the best blackberries I've ever had. And man, I mean, this, especially just this one row, has gone gangbusters this year. So we planted out some other stuff earlier in the season, and that's kind of starting to take root. We're still trying to learn more about perennial bushes, but yeah, this has really been a pleasant surprise. so there you have it. It's just kind of an overview of what we've been up to. Like I said, we're going to do more in-depth videos on each one of these, from the pack shed to our refrigerated trailer to our irrigation, to kind of give you all the details of how you can do it yourself. And lastly, I just wanted to thank everybody that helped us with these projects. And my mom and my Aunt Trudy came down right after Zeb was born, and that was such a huge help, just allowing us to get our orders out that week. My mom and my Aunt Trudy came down a month later with my stepdad Tim and my Uncle Bill, and we knocked out the irrigation. We did a bunch of canning, got a bunch of just little projects done. We fixed an old wagon cart that we needed to fix, and just, I mean, it was just amazing having the workforce of like 5-6 people. I also had my brother and his girlfriend Jessica down here giving us a hand, and you know, he helped me clear out all this brush so that we could keep our no spray exemption. And yeah, I mean, it's just, and then just last week we had Alex's dad and stepmom come down, and they were a huge help. They stayed for 10 days, helped us with the kids, he helped me with this pack shed, insulating it. You know, they helped me harvest radishes, they helped me pack for my orders.
And the new intro.
You know, and they also watched the kids so we could go on a much needed date. So it's just been, we're so grateful to our family that came down and helped us out when we really needed it most. And you know, so this episode also just kind of a thank you to them.
Greenshine Farmers hosts volunteers through a website called Wolfing, and the website Wolf USA is putting on a contest, a video contest, answering the question, I wolf because. Now, Rand and I have been wolfers in the past, and we love it, and we're going to be putting out a video next week called I Wolf Because. The more likes that it gets, the more points it gets for the contest, so I hope you all decide to tune in. And just forewarning, it's going to be a slightly different episode than normal without our introduction or anything, but please watch the whole thing, tell us what you like, and I hope you enjoyed this episode.
If you guys like this video and you'd like to see more like it, leave us a comment down below, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Also, visit us at greenshinefarms.com and follow us on Instagram at Greenshine Farms. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.